Hello and welcome to this video on two relatively new functions in Microsoft Excel. In this video we're going to talk about two recent additions to the Excel armory which make life somewhat easier. The two functions are IfS, which makes nested if statements redundant, and XLOOKUP, which makes VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP redundant. In both cases the old formulas will still work. The benefits come when you write new formulas. Let's first take a look at if statements. The situation is one in which you are presented with a set of values from which you want to return three or more results. Here we have a set of average maximum monthly temperatures from a UK location. We want to characterize any value of at least 20 degrees as warm, anything under 10 as cold, and anything in between as mild. Now, in traditional Excel, you'd write an if statement to capture the first possibility, and inside that would be another if that would determine which of these other two was valid. This is known as a nested if. In this example, in column C, we first test the January temperature in cell B2 to see if it is under 10, and with logical test, B2 is less than 10. If it is, we return the word cold in quotes. We then need to write another if to test if the value is less than 20, in which case we return mild. Otherwise, it must be warm. Note the two close brackets at the end because we have put one if statement inside the other. You could continue this logic further for hot temperatures in excess of 30, say. The more possibilities, the more prone the formula is to error, with brackets not being closed and missing or misplaced commas. So we have a complete set of results from column C using the old method. Now let's have a look at doing this using IfS in column D. Using this method, we follow each logical test with the value we want to return, and we carry on until we are finished. So here, as before, we start with a test for whether the value in B2 is less than 10. And if it is, we return cold. Then we add our next test, which is for whether the temperature is less than 20, in which case it's mild. And finally, whether the temperature is greater than or equal to 20, which we'll call warm. Then we close the bracket at the end. You can see this as pairs of tests and conditions, which we will continue until we exhaust the possibilities. Let's fill down the results. And then we have a complete set of IfS formulas. You might already sense that it's quite important in what order you sequence logical tests. If we test for a temperature of under 20 before a temperature of under 10, then Excel will return mild, as it will not evaluate a test if the previous one was true. To reinforce this understanding, I've deliberately added formulas in column E so you can see how this can go wrong. In this column, I've sequenced the logical tests in reverse. There's no issue with putting the test for warm temperatures at the beginning, but for any temperature under 20, Excel will evaluate that as true and will not try to test whether it is under 10. The result is that all cold temperatures in this column erroneously resolve to mild when in fact they are cold. Another way of applying the IfS is to sequence the most exclusive tests first and leaving what's left over to get resolved by default. In column F, the formula first tests for the cold, then the warm temperatures. the final logical test is substituted by the word true, which means that what follows is the value that is returned if none of the previous logical tests are true. So it will return mild in these cases. This is a very handy way of saying if anything else, and is analogous to an else statement in programming. Now let's take a look at the new lookup function, which makes VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP redundant. Here we have a list of UK telephone numbers in column D, stored as text strings. We want to return the city that corresponds with the area code of each number according to the reference table in columns A and B. I've first done a bit of pre-processing in column E to capture the leftmost 3 or 4 digits, depending on whether the second digit of the area code is a 1 or a 2. So let's start with an old school VLOOKUP, which we want to return in column F. We start with a lookup value and then select the table. What we then do in the world of Excel is slightly unusual. We identify the column within the table from which we return the value with a number, which with larger tables might require manual counting and is prone to error. This also requires that the values that we are looking up have to be in the first column of the table. In column G, we are instead using the newfangled XLOOKUP function. Again, we start with a lookup value, but we follow that with 2 separate arrays. One is the lookup array, and the other is the return array. In plain English, this means you have more freedom how you set up your original table, and you don't have to worry about counting columns. To prove the point, I've set up in column H formulas that use another reference table in columns A and B. The lookup array is in column B, and the return array is in column A. You might well want to have the cities preceding their respective area codes, which XLOOKUP allows, but VLOOKUP does not. We hope you found these tips to be useful. Please visit our website, siberiageotech.com, or subscribe to our Excel in IT YouTube channel. Thank you for watching, and look out for more videos soon.